evening. The time is now 10:23, and we will reconvene, and this meeting is now in session again, or in open session. Agenda item number 5, consider and act upon adopting a resolution authorizing the interim city manager.
We have to do that first.
Sorry, guys, I was trying to get to y'all fast. Not so fast, Pete said. Okay, agenda item number 10, 10A.
Oh, yes.
11.
11.
Yes.
Return to open session, deliberate, consider, and take any action necessary as a result of discussion in the immediately preceding agenda item, 10A. Okay. Council, I'll entertain a motion. No motion? Okay. No action taken on 10A. And 10B, I'll entertain a motion. And no action taken on 10B. Okay, very good. Now going to 5. Consider and act upon adopting a resolution authorizing the interim city manager to execute a utility extension agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation for a water installation along State Highway 281 bypass. Mr. Rudy?
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Good evening.
On this item, the TxDOT Alice facility, maintenance facility would like the city of Alice to provide them with water service. The facility is located outside the city limits, but within the ETJ. TxDOT has met with the city staff on 2 separate occasions. Once on February 23rd of this year, the other on July 13th of this year. The first meeting was for a possible option because TxDOT was receiving quotes or bids for a new water well. The second meeting was a request for a utility extension agreement, Exhibit A, map, and Exhibit B, preliminary cost estimate. I have included these items within the agenda item. The infrastructure shall be placed along County Road 117, or otherwise known as Howell Road, and State Highway 281 bypass. The tie-in point would be at the intersection of Business 281 and County Road 117 and end at the TxDOT facility along bypass 281. The project involves 8-inch water line over a mile, a booster station, valves, fire hydrants, land acquisition for a booster station, and possible easements for the placement of the water line. It is our understanding TxDOT will provide the funds for the project, and it will be the city's responsibility to acquire consultant and contractor for the project. Once the project is complete, the city will maintain and operate the infrastructure. In respect to this project, this is similar to projects the county receives grants for water line extensions. TxDOT's deadline for the budget is actually today by midnight, is what I understand. And I believe it's a great opportunity for the city to have a long-term customer. It also may allow us to receive approximately 40 new county water accounts along County Road 117. I'm here to answer any questions, and let me see here.
How many accounts, Rudy?
Possibly 40?
40.
From Google Earth, I started counting the houses.
Immediately? As soon as it's a done deal, they're already in place, or no?
No.
Are they? No.
And that's my question. Are we going to give them the opportunity to voluntarily connect, or are we going to make it mandatory that they connect once we extend these water lines
It's
to the
voluntary.
additional 40?
It's voluntary, man.
So we may not get these 40 accounts because they
That's
will
correct.
voluntarily be connecting if they want. They can choose not to.
That's correct, ma'am.
Okay. just to be clear.
Well, a lot of these people have water wells, so a lot of them aren't going to voluntarily connect until there's an issue. But any future development, we could pick
Right.
up at any given time. So there is potential there, and there's no cost to us.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, so
There's interest, and I'll tell you why, because a few agenda items down, Betty will talk about a grant in that same vicinity. There's people along County Road 110 and 111 that are very interested in water.
And I agree, you know, or at least on my part, I've been a strong proponent of extending water and sewer lines out to the west and having additional connections, but I just wanted to make it clear that this is voluntary. Now, you know, we do have the option, new customers would have to connect. We could
Right.
consider doing that maybe, and where would that fall into place, Mr. Lamandino?
Well, and the agreement is that as long as we don't degrade it, I'm
Within,
sorry,
yeah.
Oscar, you're here and I'm pointing at you. As long as we don't degrade service to the highway department, we can add as many people to the line as possible. It's always been a need since years ago to have that line out there, and then additionally that we're going to have
Booster station?
the booster station out there.
yeah, I was going to say.
And so, you know, from that aspect, it's not going to limit our ability to tap onto it, provided we don't degrade their service. But with the booster out there, it's going to give us quite a large ability to add people to the line.
Is that-
At some point, would they, like these people be grandfathered in, but at some point moving forward, could they be required to connect?
That's what I'm asking, because are we gonna, again, you get new development and they have the choice of doing water well or connecting, or
Could we
do
put
we
an
have some
ordinance in
language
place?
in an
Yeah.
ordinance where you have
Well,
to
this
connect?
is in our ETJ.
Yes.
Yes.
In our
It's
ETJ.
it's not in our city limits with our ETJ. You know, yes, and no, it just depends.
Water
Well,
tap's
we
still
may-
cheaper than
Yes.
than a water well.
Exactly.
I guarantee you that.
But
so.
some people don't want to tap
I've
in.
seen this before happen, guys.
Some people
It's
don't want to
happened
do it.
before, and Betty, you probably have some experience with this, where if they have the choice, they would choose to go
Mm-hmm. Water
and
well.
do their own water wells, because they can water, they're not doing restrictions and whatever else.
Well, and the ultimate point that confronts you guys tonight is
Right.
the easement aspects and the line to the tech stop. And so, in looking at the agreement, everything appears to be appropriate and standard. Rudy actually wrote the resolution, sufficient in those regards to require that, and, you know, legally, everything is
I think real good. We get a
Zero
water
cost,
line.
right? Zero cost?
We get a water line, it's free, and we get potential. Even
you
if we
get a-
pick up one or two
you get a
customers
booster
along the way, that's still
station.
bonus.
We get a
At
booster
a
station.
booster station.
And a booster station. And five fire hydrants. Is that sufficient for that area?
Right now.
Tip,
Well, I mean, yeah, it is. For now, it is.
As we,
in the city limits, since it's outside the city limits, in the city limits, we put them every 500 feet for residential. These are outside the city. So if we ever have to maintain the line, it's a way that we can depressure the line and fix it.
Okay.
so, and the city will handle all the RFQ and
Yes, ma'am.
the bids, the opening of the bids, sealed
That's
bids. that-
part of the
everything
agreement, but we also have to follow the guidelines of
Through
tech stop.
TxDOT, okay.
Okay.
And there is I see that there is a contingency in here of 15%, so.
Yes,
That
just,
covered, thank you.
it's a preliminary cost. I'm
Right.
not sure exactly, but I did a water model for that area, and everything seems in line to
It
what.
seems in line
Mhm.
with 15,
Yes,
because
ma'am.
I've usually seen them 20, but
Yes,
are you comfortable with 15?
yes, ma'am.
Okay. Ready to make a
We do
motion?
have, didn't mean to interrupt, but we do have representatives from TxDOT in the audience, in case there's any
Like to speak?
questions from them.
I think we're
I think they're
ready.
good, but,
Waited this long?
Yeah.
and, yeah, they,
Oscar. Come on, Oscar.
If there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
What are y'all operating off of right now?
Right now, we have a water well that was built about 6 years ago when the facility was built. Since then, we've had continuous problems with water quality and maintaining the water demand, high nitrates, high iron. Pressure sometimes is an issue. So TxDOT's just looking for a reliable water source.
Good. Ms. Carrasco, any questions? No? Ms. Garza? No? Mr. Chris? Ms. Moran?
No?
Okay.
I'm ready to make a motion.
At this time, I'll entertain a motion on agenda item number 5.
Mayor, I make a motion that we adopt a resolution oops, I'm on the wrong one. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Authorizing the interim city manager to execute a utility extension agreement with the Texas Department of Transportation for a water installation along State Highway 281 bypass.
Very good. Can I get a second?
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? No. So the motion stands as read. Thank you all very
Thank you
much.
for
We
the
appreciate that.
consideration.
Thank you all.
And Diana, does the mayor have the resolution to sign so
Just to read
that
it.
they can?
Yes, we will need
No,
to
I need to
get,
sign.
because there is a time clock ticking,
me
if we
sign
can
it?
get the mayor to sign the resolution, and then I will work on executing the DocuSign documents here as quickly as this meeting lets out.
I have it here.
Ready? Okay, perfect.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Appreciate
Yes.
that.
Very nice.
Yeah. How could we not?
Yeah. We'd love more of these.
Yeah.
I know. You got any more locations you want to do? Any more streets?
I noticed Rudy ain't going nowhere.
No.
He's on call again?
He's on call for the next couple of agenda items.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Does that need to be read? No, right?
No.
The ordinances.
Pat,
Very good. Going on to agenda item number 6, discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing the interim city manager to enter into an intergovernmental agreement pursuant to the Interlocal Cooperation, Chapter 791 of Texas Government Code between Jim Wells County, Texas, and the City of Alice for the 2017-2018 Community Development Block Grant Program, Colonia Construction Fund contract to construct improvements to the city's public water system benefiting the Kiesling Howell Colonial within the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction.
This one, I'll have Betty and the engineer step up, and possibly Margie to speak a little more on this behalf.
Thank you, Rudy.
Earlier this year, we had a couple of residents on County Road 110 come to us in regards to water. They were all sharing a water well that broke, and so they've been hauling their own water on County Road 110, and some of these residents are elderly. And so we had a meeting with Rudy and some of the financial people, and it was in the previous council that we discussed issues, and so I brought in Betty to look at Colonia grants, and because it would be first time use of water, and they don't have sewer either, so they went ahead, and so we're trying to do an application right now. TDA has changed things, so now we hire our engineer and administration at the beginning, so Mr. Garcia and Betty are the ones that are in charge of this grant, so if y'all have any questions for them. But it is also along County Road 117 and 111 and 110, however far it goes. So for half $500,000, for $500,000. And the match would be probably the tapping fees, the waiving of the tapping fees, which is how we did the K-bar, the second phase of the K-bar. The first phase, we did the tapping fees. We did the match in-kind, but in reality, there is no tapping because the contractors do all the work. If y'all have any questions?
Council? Ms. Moran, you have any questions?
Miss Betty?
Yes. I'm Betty Collier with Grant Works, by the way.
Okay.
So can you tell us, what does it look like for you guys? Does it look promising?
This is a-
How many
yeah, it's
households
a-
will you be serving?
I believe in combination with what the plan is right now is to do County Road 10, 110, 111, and a portion of 117 to meet up with what the TxDOT funds are going to take care of on kind of probably about midway, I believe. And the grant application probably will be around 25 to 30 houses. And the tapping fee has been, typically y'all have been considerate enough to waive that fee since the contractor does the work instead of the city having to do it. We do allow enough funds to purchase the meters and the type of meters that y'all use because they are special. And it's like Commissioner said, this is $500,000 grant with a $25,000 match. With that many houses, you're out of city limit tapping fee will be covered pretty easily. And it looks really good for funding because it's first-time service. And in Colonia grants, anytime you're providing first-time public water or sewer service to your residents, that bumps your score up to the top of the list. So the county's actually, and you'll see in the next resolution, want to apply for 2. This is the first year that they've allowed the counties to apply for 2 grants. Now, so that being said, we hope there's money from HUD in 2018. Who knows what the federal government's going to do to HUD in their funding, but that's the idea right now is to be able to do 2 per county, and this is being 2 $500,000 grants. So it's really a really good benefit to you as your revenue, adding that many houses with just this one grant.
Did we, have you gone out there and done your survey and identified the low to moderate?
They're doing, I think they started on the survey this week. They're
You gonna
doing the
have any
door-to-door.
problems meeting that low to moderate income? No
No.
problems out there? I'm not real familiar with it.
No, we're pretty, in fact, we'll probably be up in the mid-range of better.
And I know on 110, there's a lot of open land that belongs to the owners that live there that have already stressed that their family, their children would like to move into the area, but they don't have no water, so you would have more residents
End up
moving
with
out
some more
there.
people out there.
I was just wondering if the survey would kick out any of these numbers that you just talked about.
Oh, there may,
because
3 or 4.
But it's not enough
going
to-
to be many,
to
no.
impact
I don't think so.
the possibility of getting it funded. Okay.
And that's a 25,000 match split between the county and the city?
No, I think this time, with as many houses as they're doing, your match will be covered with the
Right.
tap fees.
Fees.
Okay.
But if there's anything.
If there's anything
left,
extra
we
that-
usually do the in-kind.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I may, I'm Raul Garcia, Ari Garcia and Associates, I'm the project
Hi,
engineer.
Mr. Garcia.
In the previous item, one of the questions was you can't force them to connect, which is true. But these grants allow for, not only do we do the tap and we pay for the meter, we'll actually do the yard line. So you go out
Okay.
there and say, hey, you have the chance on us putting in a $1,500 worth of infrastructure to your home, connect your home, or this goes away as soon as you tell us you don't need it.
Yeah.
One
It gives
chance
them the
only.
incentive.
Yeah.
We just went through K-Bar, and once the people understood that they're getting it all the way to their house, there was no issues in connecting. In fact, we had problems at the end, we kept more people coming to us.
Didn't have enough
Wanting the
meters,
service.
had to
So-
order more meters.
And to explain on the waiving of the tapping fees that the city's charging right now pays to tap the line, to put the box, and to put the meter in the ground. Our contractor will put the line in, put the meter box in, buy the meter, and give it to the city, and the city will install it. So by waiving the tapping fees, you're really waiving nothing because we're doing everything.
Everything
And
except
that's
for the actual
exactly the way we did
installation.
K-Bar,
And they have to
and
do it
worked-
so they
worked
can-
like a champ.
Can adjust it with their,
Right.
Right.
whatever they do it with, their thing.
Right.
What's the possibility of further development out there? You mentioned,
Yeah.
how does that look out there? Is there land out there, or is there potential for housing?
There's
being
about
built?
12 acres out there that, like I said, they're owned by the residents that live there. And they've already voiced that their children want to move out there, but because there's no water,
Yeah.
you know, they would have to put in water wells.
And what do we
it's
currently
pricey.
charge for outside the city limits on the utility bill?
tapping fees?
Yeah. No, the billing. What's our
Water
rate out
bill
there?
is-
Do you know more? or
Well, I
less?
know your
Not
minimal,
much.
the minimum is 2601.
Yeah.
For one minimum?
There it is.
Did you find it?
very low.
Yeah, I know.
I'm sorry.
Works for
They
you.
ought to enjoy that.
I apologize, we were looking
No,
for
no, you're fine.
specific
They-
language.
I think-
Did you get the answer?
I think we're about 26, 25,
26
26.
to 1 is the
Something
minimum.
is a basic.
What is per gallon?
That I have
Do you
no
know,
idea.
Penny, the
Not off the
1,000?
top of my head. Are we talking water rates in the county?
County.
Yes,
Oh.
outside the city. Just trying to kind of guesstimate a
The base
potential
rate is
revenue here.
$26.
It's $26. I just don't
I
remember
don't
the
know what
minimum
per
number of
gallon
gallon
Or
is.
the 100 gallons is, I don't know.
And once this is approved, what is the expected completion? I mean, what's your time frame on something like this?
We expect, that because the TDA is running really, Department of Agriculture is really behind on all of this because they didn't know the budget from HUD was so late in the year. I think that probably by March, we should know if the funding is going to be available and when it'll be available. If they know it's available in March, I think contracts will probably go out shortly after that.
Okay.
Because they should be going out right now instead of in March, but they haven't gotten the applications.
Because that date is less important to us than it is to these 25 to 30 residences over there.
Right,
you know,
exactly.
so.
If within the contracts are 2-year contracts, so they have to be done in
Right.
2 years.
That's
Water
good.
lines are usually pretty simple as long, the only problem is if we have to have any acquisition, that sometimes ties things up. but-
Now, I see here it goes up 110, shoots across 111, and then comes down behind the residences.
That's for the
Oh,
loop.
to
That's the
loop
loop.
the
That's the loop. Now, is there something that goes into the landowners with that, or how is that going to play out?
We'd have to have an easement.
Is that 110 and 111?
And that would
Yeah,
cover
that-
the-
That's covered by the grant. Okay.
Coordinated through Rudy and Wood and purchased the
Yeah.
grant pays for everything.
Where's the
It's so
loop?
we don't have dead-end lines
Line
out there.
coming off the
Yeah,
back
there would
right
be
here.
dead-end lines
Is
if
the
we.
loop?
That's the, yes, it makes a circle right
Oh,
there.
okay.
Yeah.
The other question, how will that impact, will it have any impact on TxDOT and the line that's going to go? Do we see any potential problems with, I mean, I just want to.
They'll just pick it up where,
Yeah, if there's future development, we can always loop around the system, but TxDOT agreement is only for,
But I think she's
Right.
talking about service.
But the service and, the impact of the service with adding additional
Does the
households.
Water pressure be okay? and-
Pressure,
It will be
the
fine.
PSI.
We got the
it would be
booster,
fine. All
too.
you would have to do is,
impact.
the pump might be a larger pump in that case.
Should we, because this may be a while and they're gonna get going really fast on theirs, should we take that into consideration?
Well, here's the issue is, out of the plant, the first fire hydrant is about 52 PSI.
Oh, is- Okay,
In an email
Good.
from a representative from TxDOT, I asked him, well, what's your PSI requirement? He said 50. TxDOT is at a higher elevation than our water plant. So we're gonna lose
little
through
bit of
friction
pressure.
loss and head loss, and that's the purpose of the pump,
Okay.
to keep that pressure through there. If I went with a smaller line, the pump would be a larger pump. So it made more sense to go with the larger line and a smaller pump because that's less cost for the city to incur. So the volume should be there. They shouldn't drop below the TCQ minimum of 35 PSI.
again, the question is, adding these additional,
And honestly,
Households
it
will
it
not
might be
impact.
something that we might be
It should
able
not
to, if theirs is gonna move fast enough,
Uh-huh.
once we see what's going on, this can be adjusted some too.
that's what I was asking.
Yeah,
If
it could
there's-
be-
We want to be proactive
Yeah.
and make any adjustments,
Yeah.
and because we
You know,
only get one
his-
shot at this,
Our budget
guys.
that we turn in, as you know, Commissioner, that when we turn in the budgets, it's just a very broad statement, and little things can be tweaked like that for the size of a pump.
And you know where I'm going with that, right,
Yeah.
Eddie? I want, and Mr.
You won't get in
Garcia?
their way.
Yeah, we don't want
But
to
you
get
know
in
what,
touched
even
up
if
We don't
way.
wanna-
We want to put in what we need to put in, add it
Right
to
the
that
first time.
cost, and
Do
let's
it
get it
correct the
right.
first time.
Yes.
if
Yeah.
TxDOT does theirs first, well, it might allow us to
Well,
have
no.
money left over to pick up 117-1, which is behind. It's another little area. And there's about 15 homes in there already,
Yeah.
and they don't have water.
But I mean, if we're going to need a booster or something
Right.
additional, because we're adding more households than what currently was
Right.
projected and budgeted for, we need to be able to
And we
pick
can
up
be-
on those
we can-
things.
the-
Do you know where?
Our
where I'm
budget's
talking about?
flexible
All the
enough
numbers will
that.
be established.
Okay.
before the design on the TxDOT line.
Yes, sir.
So everybody will know
And
everything.
coordinate with the consultants or
Right, and
whoever
the
we
eight-inch
end up
line's a
with.
big line.
Okay.
Because I did notice that you had said 117 and how wherever they don't reach, but they terminate from y'all's design, Rudy, and from TxDOT's thing, the pump sits basically on 281. So there is no real work going down 117. So, effectively, hopefully, there's more money for you to do more, to help out more.
Right.
So, yeah.
Get
So,
more homes.
yes, get more homes.
You guys need to communicate. The
Absolutely.
Oh,
consultant
no.
that's going
Rudy's
to be
been doing a
hired
good
to
job
do the
on that.
work
They-
for TxDOT
Yeah.
and Mr. Garcia, you guys communicate, it doesn't impact
When,
TxDOT
once
when we
this
add
is
additional
actually
houses.
funded and awarded,
Okay.
then they'll sit down and
Yes.
put it down and
The
really,
plans.
before the bids go out, it'll all be nailed down.
Okay, very good.
Another thing to consider is too, is under TCQ, for a 6-inch line, you can have as many as 250 connections.
Awesome.
Okay, very good.
job. Thank you, Rudy.
You're gonna do an 8-inch line.
Okay, council, any other questions?
Yeah.
No? Okay, I'll entertain a moment at this time on agenda item number 6.
I make a motion that we authorize the interim city manager to enter into an intergovernmental agreement pursuant to the Interlocal Cooperation, Chapter 791 of the Texas Government Code between Jim Wells County, Texas and the City of Alice for a 2017-2018 Community Development Block Grant Program, Colonia Construction Fund contract to construct improvements to the city's public water system, benefiting the Kiesling Howell Colonia within the city's ETJ.
Very good. Can I get a second?
Second
Thank you. Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And no opposed. The motion stands
Thank you.
as read. Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
for
you.
doing
Well,
that part.
The next 4 hours, so we'll
The
just all
next,
stand
yep,
here.
I'm just gonna stand there.
Okay, very good. Moving on to agenda item number 7, discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing a resolution supporting the submission of a CDBG Colonia grant application for water improvements in the Kiesling Howell Colonia, authorizing the interim city manager to act as executive officer and authorize representatives in all matters pertaining to this participation.
This actually ties back to the prior item. This is essentially the resolution from the council.
Okay. I was
Okay.
like a little confused about
Yes.
that. So this is.
So at this time,
Make a motion to authorize a resolution supporting the submission of the CDBG Colonia grant application.
very good. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And no opposed. The motion stands as read on agenda item number 7. Agenda item number 8, discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing the interim city manager to enter into a intergovernmental agreement to the Interlocal Cooperation, Chapter 791 of the Texas Government Code between Jim Wells County, Texas and the City of Alice for the 2017-2018 Community Development Block Grant Program, Colonia Construction Fund contract to construct improvements to the city's public water system benefiting the K-Bar Alice Acres Colonia within the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction. Council, any questions on this one, K-Bar?
This would probably be like the third phase.
Yeah, this is
because
phase 3.
We just got awarded the second phase, which is the last 2 streets of the K-Bar.
And then they'll go down 1554 and pick up those next streets of Alice Acres.
And this also will pay for the tapping fee, the tap, the meter box, the meter, and the yard line on the
And the
eligible.
pressure tank.
And the pressure, and we're gonna put also, we're gonna be discussing including a chlorination facility within the same area.
Very
Covered by
good.
the grant?
Yeah.
Very
So these, I don't know, do y'all see the colored one that we have here?
Yeah.
There's 3 different colors here. We're talking about
Oh,
adding
that's
the,
phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3.
yes, okay.
So which one were we talking
The
about?
purple one across the bottom, right? Or the pink one? Yeah. Oh, is this where you're saying it's gonna come down and join her here?
We're gonna join it right here. This one's built, this
Uh-huh.
one's funded, this is the one we're applying.
Wait, do I have?
It's right here.
So one was
Built,
built already.
Mr. Garcia?
Built, funded.
1341 Alice Acres.
Application.
Okay.
I was gonna say, there had already been some activity on this already out there. Uh-huh.
We're finishing one,
Good.
we'll start another, and hopefully get a third one funded.
Fabulous, very
What's
good.
the 411 on that for some of us who are not familiar with the history of what you've been doing out there, Margie, with the
Well, we finished the
K-Bar?
first phase, and
Okay.
like we were saying, a lot of the people, maybe out of all the We picked up 45 residents.
45
That's what I was gonna ask.
Phase one.
Phase one was 45 residents?
And maybe there was three people that walked away. They didn't meet the criteria. They were above the.
So they didn't walk
Below
away,
the
they
law.
just, they didn't.
But a tap was
They
put in
did.
front of their house.
We
Okay.
left.
So
Good
they're-
job.
it's ready if they decide they want it.
Okay.
But this time, well, they were gonna have to pay for it anyway.
Mhm.
But the other ones that did, they're already working on getting their lines in.
Good.
We had two that were not able to because they previously lived in the city and they had left balances, high balances, and they couldn't afford to pick up that balance and pay to get their lines open.
We'll have to talk
And
about
what are we
that.
looking at for number 2?
Yeah, where are we with phase two?
Number
Res-
two,
the-
It's 500,000.
No, the potential residents.
He's about 30.
30.
Okay.
25 to 30 on the second
Right.
phase.
And this one's been funded, phase
This
two?
one's been
that one's
funded.
already been funded.
And
It
where
will,
you
contract
guys
starts
at?
in October.
Okay,
The blue one. Right.
the blue one? And you guys already,
Ready to
Everything
go. We're just
ready to
starting
go.
the
They're already
design. We're
started.
starting design.
design, you're in the design phase? Okay.
The third phase, they're doing the surveys as we speak.
Yeah.
For
Surveys.
34.
With this application, that's another $500,000.
Okay, so
Each
they're
one of them
all-
was a half-
Each is by, is
The
a half.
phase one was $500,000, the phase two was
It's
200,
300.
300,000. This is gonna be another $500,000.
Good work.
Very good. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
I have a question. Has this already gone to Commissioners Court? I'm just curious.
Yes.
Yes, and they
It was
approved
approved
both?
earlier this week.
Perfect, thank you.
Very good.
Yes.
Any other questions, council? No?
Mayor, if I can,
Yes, sir.
for a point of information, that Councilwoman Carrasco, after looking at the map as presented, she actually has some property listed as an agent in the area. And in looking at it black and white, she really couldn't identify it. She's identified that she might have a conflict, and so just to be appropriate, she's exited the chamber so that you all can consider the motion without her being present.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Okay, at this time, I'll entertain a motion on agenda item number 8.
I move to authorize our interim city manager to enter into an intergovernmental agreement to the interlocal cooperation, Chapter 791 of the Texas Government Code between Jim Wells County, Texas and the City of Alice for a 2017-2018 Community Development Block Grant Program, Colonia Construction Fund. The contract will be to construct improvements to the city's public water system benefiting the K-Bar Acres Colonia within the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction, Phase 3.
Okay. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Majority.
I would thank y'all because it adds a lot to the quality of life out there.
Absolutely,
Yes.
absolutely.
We've already had residents comment on their home insurances going down because there's fire hydrants.
Good.
And so it means a lot.
It's long overdue. Great job. Great job.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Good job, Margie.
Thank you all very much. Okay, agenda item number 9. Discuss, consider, and act upon authorizing a resolution supporting the submission of a Texas Community Development Block Grant application to the Texas Government of Agriculture for the Colonia Construction Fund by the Jim Wells County for water improvements in the Alice Acres Colonia and the city's extraterritorial jurisdiction, authorizing the interim city manager to act as an executive officer and authorize representatives in all matters pertaining to this participation. So, council, I'll entertain a motion.
Yeah, Mayor, I make a motion authorizing a resolution supporting the submission of the Texas Community Development Block Grant application to the Texas Department of Agriculture for the Colonia Construction Fund by the Jim Wells County and water improvements to the Alice Acres Colonia in the city's ETJ.
Thank you. Can I get a second?
Second that.
Very good. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And no opposed. The res-
Thank you.
Thank you all.
stands
Thank
as
you.
read. Thank you all
Everybody.
very much. Thank you all for your work.
Thank you for your patience
Yes.
tonight.
Thank you all.
Yes, we had a lot going on
Our deadline is
downstairs.
September 15th. We couldn't wait. We had to wait for you.
Well, thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, agenda item number 11? No. Agenda item number 12. Adjourn and/or consider an act upon adjournment. I'll
Go ahead.
make a motion.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Very good.
Aye.
And no opposed. This
Sorry.
meeting is now adjourned. The time is 10:58. Thank y'all very much for being with us, and we apologize for the wait. Thank y'all very much.
Oscar, thank you.
Thank you for your work, too, on that.
No problem.
Thank you.